That day, my wife said, "If you still choose to continue with this YouTube channel, then after the next 4 months, don't blame me if I can't support you anymore." I went silent, not because I had nothing to say, but because I didn't know what I wouldn't lose if I spoke. The ultimatum hung in the air between us, heavy as lead. For months, a deadline on a dream, or maybe a deadline on our marriage. I stared at the half-edited video on my computer screen, the cursor blinking like a metronome, counting down time I suddenly felt I didn't have. Who was betting their entire future. But nobody knew that, to keep that dream, I gradually lost the gentle gaze of my life partner. There were days when my wife didn't ask anything, didn't say anything. She just quietly worked, took care of our daughter, and looked at me like a stranger in our own home. I understood, but I didn't stop. We had moved to Portland 3 years ago for her medical residency. I had left my marketing director position in Chicago to support her dream. Now that she was established as a pediatrician, it was my turn, or so I thought. I converted our garage into a studio. I spent our savings on equipment. I took online courses on video editing and storytelling. Just 6 months, I had promised. If it doesn't work by then, I'll go back to corporate. But 4 months in, with only 342 subscribers and 0 ad revenue, the tension was palpable. Our daughter started asking why mommy and daddy didn't eat dinner together anymore. My wife didn't argue. She didn't yell. That might have been easier to handle. Instead, there was this growing silence between us, a gulf I didn't know how to bridge. Have you ever felt the weight of someone's unspoken disappointment? Let me take you back to how it all began. 3 years earlier, I was the marketing director for a major advertising agency in Chicago. Corner office, 6-figure salary, respect in the industry. But I was also working 70-hour weeks, missing my daughter's recitals, and feeling increasingly hollow inside. When my wife, Elena, matched for her pediatric residency at Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, it seemed like perfect timing. A chance to reset, to support her career the way she had supported mine, to be more present for our daughter, Sophia, who was 7 at the time. I can freelance, I told Elena. Maybe even start that mindfulness coaching business I've been talking about. The move was challenging but refreshing. Portland's slower pace suited me. I took on select freelance clients, spent more time with Sophia, and began deepening my meditation practice. For the first time in years, I felt like I was breathing. Then came the pandemic. Like millions of others, I found myself at home, watching the world through screens. My freelance work dried up as companies slashed marketing budgets. But something else was happening. People were turning to mindfulness and meditation in record numbers, seeking tools to manage unprecedented anxiety. I started a YouTube channel almost on a whim. Mindful Living with Michael. Nothing fancy, just me sharing the practices that had helped me navigate corporate burnout and major life transitions. The first videos were rough, shot on my phone, edited with free software, awkward and unpolished. But they were authentic. I talked about real struggles, anxiety, career uncertainty, parenting challenges. I shared simple meditation techniques that had helped me. To my surprise, people responded. Comments trickled in. This is exactly what I needed today. Your voice is so calming. Please make more of these. As Elena's residency ended and she secured a position at a pediatric clinic, I found myself at another crossroads. Return to corporate marketing? Continue freelancing? Or fully commit to this nascent YouTube channel that was connecting with people but generating no income? I want to give this a real shot, I told Elena one night after Sophia was asleep. The Mindfulness channel. I think it could really help people. And eventually, it could support us. Elena was cautiously supportive. How long do you think it would take to become viable? 6 months. I said with more confidence than I felt. If it doesn't work by then, I'll go back to corporate. She nodded slowly. Okay, 6 months. I threw myself into it completely. Converted our garage into a studio. Invested in proper equipment, camera, lighting, microphone. took online courses in video production and digital marketing, created a content calendar, designed a brand. The first 2 months were exhilarating. Subscribers grew, slowly, but they grew. Comments were thoughtful and engaged. I was connecting with people in a way I never had in corporate America. But by month 3, growth plateaued. Videos that took days to produce would get a few hundred views. Ad revenue was negligible. The sponsorship inquiries I'd hoped for never materialized. Meanwhile, our savings dwindled. Elena was working full-time as a pediatrician, but with Portland's high cost of living and Sophia's private school tuition, we were barely breaking even. The strain began to show in small ways. Elena stopped asking about my day. Dinner conversations became perfunctory. She started taking extra shifts at the clinic for the experience, she said, but I knew it was for the money. I doubled down. Longer hours, more content, different formats. I was convinced that if I just worked harder, produced better content, optimized my SEO more effectively, the breakthrough would come. 4 months in, with our financial cushion nearly gone and my promised 6-month deadline approaching, Elena finally said it. If you still choose to continue with this YouTube channel, then after the next 4 months, don't blame me if I can't support you anymore. It wasn't just about money. It was about presence, about partnership, about the growing distance between us as I poured everything into a dream that showed little sign of materializing. I had a choice to make, and I chose the dream. Have you ever had to choose between what you love and who you love? Buddha taught, not everything we want is the right path. To want rightly requires wisdom. To act rightly requires compassion. I had lacked wisdom because I didn't have enough information to choose the right timing for my actions. That I had lacked compassion because I couldn't see that my wife's concern was an expression of love, not an obstacle. In Western culture, we celebrate the entrepreneur who risks everything for their vision. We idolize the Steve Jobs and Elon Musks who pushed forward despite all odds. But we rarely examine the collateral damage of such single-minded pursuit. Eastern philosophy offers a different perspective, that true achievement must be in harmony with our relationships, not at their expense. I was caught between 2 value systems. The American dream that says, never give up, and the Buddhist wisdom that asks, at what cost? What dreams are you pursuing that might be costing more than you realize? The Buddha spoke of the middle way, avoiding both extreme indulgence and extreme deprivation. Perhaps there was a middle way for me too, not abandoning my dream entirely, but not sacrificing my marriage on its altar either. I had been meditating for years, but I was still caught in what Buddhists call spiritual materialism, using spiritual practices to strengthen the ego rather than transcend it. My YouTube channel about mindfulness had become another form of striving, another way to prove my worth. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was making videos about presence and peace while creating conflict and absence in my own home. What contradictions are you living with right now? The Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh writes about interbeing, the profound interconnectedness of all things. Nothing exists in isolation. My dream of helping others find mindfulness couldn't be separated from my relationship with Elena, with Sophia, with our community. Yet I had been acting as if my YouTube channel existed in a vacuum, as if I could pour all my energy into it without consequences rippling through the rest of my life. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna counsels Arjuna about dharma, right action, aligned with one's purpose and responsibilities. I had been thinking of my purpose as separate from my responsibilities. But what if they were inseparable? What if my dharma included being a present husband and father as much as it included sharing mindfulness teachings? One evening, I found myself alone in the garage studio, staring at analytics that refused to grow. A notification popped up on my phone, a text from Elena. Sophia's recital starts in 20 minutes. Are you coming? I had completely forgotten, lost in editing a video about mindful parenting. Ironically enough, I had forgotten my own daughter's piano recital. I made it, barely, sliding into the seat beside Elena just as Sophia walked onto the stage. She searched the audience, found us, and her face lit up. Elena didn't look at me. After the recital, as Sophia chatted excitedly with her friends, Elena turned to me. "Do you see what's happening to us?" she asked quietly. "I'm trying to build something," I said. "Something that could help a lot of people." "At what cost, Michael? Look at us. We barely talk." Sophia asks me why you're always in the garage. "I'm taking extra shifts to cover expenses while you chase subscribers." "It's only been 4 months, I protested. "These things take time." "It's not about the time," she said. "It's about what's happening to our family while you're waiting for success." Her words hit me like a physical blow, not because they were harsh, but because they were true. The Buddhist concept of right livelihood teaches that our work should not harm ourselves or others. I had been so focused on the potential good my channel might do for strangers that I'd been blind to the harm it was doing to those closest to me. What blind spots might you have about the impact of your pursuits on those you love? Clearly at your fear of loss. Breathe out. Place your hand on your heart, acknowledging it's still here. Breathe in. Recognize the tension you're feeling. Breathe out. Understand that you don't need to choose one and lose the other. You need to release some of your expectations to see what's truly enough. Breathe in. Feel the pressure you've placed on yourself to succeed quickly. Breathe out. Allow time to be your ally rather than your enemy. What would it feel like to pursue your dreams at a pace that preserves your relationships? Breathe in. Notice where in your body you feel the conflict between your aspirations and your connections. Breathe out. Imagine that area softening, creating space for both to exist. Breathe in. Gather all the either/or thinking that tells you must choose. Breathe out. Release it, allowing for the possibility of both/ and solutions. Breathe in. Connect with your deepest values, beyond achievement or approval. Breathe out. Let those values guide your next steps. Breathe in. Acknowledge any fear that arises when you consider slowing down or changing course. Breathe out. Remember that flexibility is not the same as giving up. Breathe in. Feel the support of all who have navigated this territory before you. Breathe out. Trust that you too will find your way through. What might become possible if you held your dreams more lightly? Then any success would be meaningless. Life is a series of decisions. But not every decision needs to end in victory. Sometimes, it just needs to not end in losing the people who matter most. After that meditation, I made some changes. I kept the YouTube channel but scaled back to 1 video a week instead of 3. I got a part-time consulting job to ease our financial pressure. Most importantly, I started having dinner with my family every night, no exceptions. The channel grew more slowly than I'd hoped, but my marriage began to heal. What relationship might need your attention more than your ambitions right now? The week after my realization in the studio, I sat down with Elena, not to defend my position or negotiate more time, but to truly listen. "I miss us," she said simply. "I miss the partnership we had. I feel like I'm raising Sophia alone while you chase this dream." Instead of explaining or justifying, I just nodded. "I hear you, and I'm sorry." We talked for hours that night, more openly than we had in months. About dreams and responsibilities. About partnership and support. About finding a sustainable path forward. Together, we crafted a new approach. I would continue the YouTube channel, but with boundaries. Work hours from 9 to 3, while Sophia was at school. 1 video per week instead of 3. No working weekends. Family dinner every night. I would also take on part-time consulting work to stabilize our finances, using my marketing expertise to help local businesses while building my channel more gradually. It wasn't the explosive growth I'd imagined, but it was sustainable. And more importantly, it honored all parts of my life, my creative aspirations and my family commitments. The Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield speaks about tending the garden you're given. I had been so focused on planting a new garden that I neglected the one already flourishing around me. Slowly, things began to shift. Elena and I started talking again. Really talking, not just exchanging information about schedules and bills. We instituted weekly date nights. I became fully present at Sophia's activities, my phone left at home. And surprisingly, my channel began to grow in a more sustainable way. The content became more authentic, grounded in the real-life practice of balancing mindfulness with the messiness of family life. Viewers responded to this honesty more than they had to my polished, but somewhat disconnected earlier videos. 6 months later, I was making modest income from the channel. Not enough to support us entirely, but enough to reduce my consulting hours. Elena and I were partners again, supporting each other's dreams while maintaining our connection. The Japanese concept of ikigai describes the sweet spot where what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for all intersect. I had been focusing only on the first three, neglecting the practical reality of supporting my family. By embracing all four elements, including the financial practicalities, I found a more balanced path forward. Not the dramatic success story I'd initially imagined, but something ultimately more valuable, a sustainable way to pursue my passion while strengthening, not weakening, my most important relationships. The Zen master Shunryu Suzuki wrote, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, in the expert's mind there are few." By releasing my rigid expectations about how my dream should unfold, I opened myself to possibilities I couldn't have imagined. What new possibilities might emerge? If you allowed your dream to evolve, instead of forcing it to succeed on your timeline? What if the version of success you once imagined was just a stepping stone, not the final destination? What if growing slower meant growing deeper, with more clarity, more connection, more compassion? What if choosing presence over pressure didn't mean letting go of your ambition, but finally aligning it with your values? In releasing control, I didn't lose my dream. I re-met it, humbler, wiser, and more human. Now, every video I make comes not just from knowledge, but from lived truth. Not from needing to prove something, but from wanting to offer something. And each time I sit down to edit, I do so knowing my family is no longer what I'm sacrificing for my dream. They're what make it meaningful. That's the quiet power of Zen rebirth. Not a flashy success story, but the gentle unfolding of a life aligned. Your path will not look the same, but the question still whispers. What if letting go of the life you planned is the first step toward the life that's waiting to embrace you?